You space bastard! You killed my pan!
Alright, this is my review for American Sniper. I just saw it a couple days ago. It's got a couple Oscar nominations going for it, so again, trying to see some of those best of 2014 movies. It's got 6 Oscar nominations. Let's see, it's got Best Motion Picture of the Year, Best Performance by a Leading Role, Best Performance by an Actor in a Leading Role for Bradley Cooper, Best Writing, Best Editing, Sound Mixing, Sound Editing. I can see the Sound Editing and Mixing Awards. It is, after all, a war movie, and they usually have some good sound. This is Clint Eastwood's new movie. He's been kind of a hit or miss with his directing. You know, he was on a roll for a long time with Mystic River, Million Dollar Baby. Then his more recent ones has kind of been not that great. Jersey Boys didn't really make much of a splash anywhere. Same with like The Hereafter with Matt Damon. So this is his new movie, new directing, new movie he's directing. And if you don't know, this is the story about Chris Kyle. He's a true story, and he's played by Bradley Cooper, who has been, this is his 3rd Oscar nomination in I think about as many years. He was nominated for American Hustle and then also Silver Linings Playbook. So he's getting a lot of respect for his acting abilities. And this is based on the book American Sniper by Chris Kyle. And he's a pretty well-known figure. He is, called the most deadly sniper in American history. And I think his book was probably a bestseller. I mean, everybody knows it. I think the vast majority of people know his story, Chris Kyle's story. So it kind of came as a surprise, but maybe not a huge surprise that this movie is just killing it in the box office right now. It is making so much money. People are just seeing it left and right. And I thought the trailer looked really good. And, it's always interesting when an actor really transforms themselves, and kind of made a bit of news that, Bradley Cooper got really big for this role. His neck is like huge, and he gained a lot of weight and a lot of muscle to play Chris Kyle. And that's always something that, I don't know why, but that's something that the Oscars seem to look for if an actor just really goes above and beyond to transform their body, which I guess I understand it's a dedication to their craft and everything. So it was interesting to see him play this role, and I was really surprised. He does a really good job. He has a really, thick Texas accent, and he really does, dive into the role head first, and he does a good job. But if you don't know Chris Kyle's story, he starts out as, I guess he was working in, doing rodeos and stuff in Texas, and then after the 9/11 attacks, he joins the military, goes through SEAL training, and then he does 4 tours of duty in Iraq, and that's where he gets all of his kills, obviously. And so that's what the movie's about, and it focuses on mostly his tours, and then also peppers in, him coming back to the States and trying to cope with being back in the States with his wife and his kids, and then, his need to go back and serve. So that's what it's about. I went into the movie expecting not to like it. I'd heard from, reviews that it was kind of so-so. People are kind of thought it was decent, or they didn't like it at all. So I was actually going into the movie expecting not to like it, which is never a good way to go into a movie. But by the end, I liked it quite a bit. I was actually surprised. It's really well shot. I think the majority of the military scenes is really well done. Some of the scenes when he's back in the States, I think, don't work as well. And especially at the very beginning, the parts when he's growing up as a kid, there's like a couple minutes here and there at the beginning where we see his father and he's a kid with his younger brother. Those scenes are really, really heavy-handed and just kind of not good, I guess. That's a nice way to say it. So that kind of put me off at first. I was like, if this whole movie is going to be this on the nose about the message that's trying to send, I'm going to, by the end of it, I'm going to hate it. Fortunately, it doesn't keep that kind of temperament throughout the movie. So yeah, Bradley Cooper's really good. I mean, I knew the ending before it happened. It's a true story, so it's kind of like Foxcatcher. If you know what's going to happen, there's no way of really avoiding that. I think the ending is kind of rushed a little bit, but yeah. So overall, it's a decent movie, and I mean, I'm not giving it a great score. I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5. It's very watchable, but and I understand the nominations for the Oscars. I think Bradley Cooper does a great job, so I think his Oscar nomination's deserved. I don't think it should win the Oscar for the Best Picture. Maybe some of the technical ones, sure, like the sound editing, but I think I'm okay with it, being nominated. I don't think it's going to win a lot. I would be surprised if Cooper won, but you never know. This seems kind of like a very the kind of film that the Oscars might really like. It's people think it's like very patriotic type of movie and stuff. And I didn't want to get into like all of my personal beliefs and politics on the review, and I, didn't think about that while watching the film. I didn't personally think that the movie takes a very strong stance, either way about war being justified or it sending a message as propaganda, like, oh, you got to be over here and fighting for, America's way of life. I don't think it takes that stance at all. And if people are just going to end up generalizing a lot and say, you got to see this, he's a patriot, and this, that, and the other, I don't think the movie actually does that. I think that's people just putting their own personal beliefs onto the movie. Whether it's, Michael Moore made a stink about something he said about snipers and stuff like that. But personally, I don't think the movie really leans heavy one way or the other. It's a movie about this one guy. And I think you gotta remember that while you're watching it. This isn't about the military in general. This isn't about the war. This is about this one man and what he did. Whether it was, might be fabricated or not. There's been a lot of issues about his book, about the real Chris Kyle lying a lot. So you got to take that into account too. But it does show, other soldiers and people struggling with the war. And so, again, it's not just like a big piece of propaganda for the military, I don't think. I think it takes an interesting look here and there about his struggle to come back to the States and however he justifies needing to go back. He always wants to go back to help the other soldiers, and that's how he justifies a lot of what he does. And yeah, again, just overall, that's just what it's about. It's about this one man. I think people take it too far when they try to make sweeping generalizations about everything. But a couple of movie connections that I saw when I was watching this was there's one really good movie from 2008 that dealt with soldiers coming back from the war. It's called Stop Loss. It has Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Channing Tatum in it. That movie's really good. It's about when soldiers come back and then there weren't enough people serving, so they just get called back in. That movie's really good and a unique take on that story. And then one of the other, big Iraq type movies that came out 2 years ago was Zero Dark 30. So thought about that a lot. And then it was also interesting that they throw in this aspect of the movie to kind of keep the action going and the momentum going throughout the war scenes is Enemy at the Gates, the World War II movie with Jude Law and Ed Harris, with the snipers, chasing each other. One's Soviet and the other's the German. Has that kind of aspect to it. They add this Iraqi sniper into the story, and who knows how real that is or not, but it seems more fictitious that there's this one sniper on their side that's hunting him, and Bradley Cooper, or I guess Chris Kyle, wants to get him as well. So that's added in there just to keep the pace going, which, okay, it's a movie, it's fine. And I guess the last thing I'll say is You probably won't be able to ignore this after I say it, but keep an eye out for the fake baby. I don't know why they did this. They didn't use a real baby. There's a couple scenes where Chris Kyle and his wife are holding a baby. And it's so fake. It's funny. Oh yeah, I guess I should mention also Sienna Miller plays his wife Taya, Taya, something Taya, Taya Kyle. She does a pretty good job. She was actually she was in Foxcatcher 2, which I just saw a while ago. She was Mark Ruffalo's wife in that. She didn't have a big part, but she does here. She has a bigger part, and she does a really good job playing the wife. So I want to give her a shout out, I guess. So yeah, again, 3.5 out of 5. See it in theaters? Sure. It's got a lot of hype around it. It is a war movie, so war movies are usually pretty good to see in theater. I think you could also wait to rent it. Most people have a good enough home theater that it would be decent to watch at home too. So that's kind of up to you. I don't think you're really going to miss out on a lot if you don't see it in the theater. But it is a decent movie. Okay.